The night starts with rain hammering against rusted rooftops while a lonely street glows under flickering neon lights, and somewhere in the darkness a terrified man runs for his life clutching a tiny silver box so tightly that his fingers bleed around the edges, his breathing sharp, desperate, uneven, because behind him something impossible is following him through the shadows, something he can hear but never fully see, footsteps scraping against wet pavement without a visible body attached to them, and every time he looks back the street somehow stretches longer than before, like reality itself is refusing to let him escape, until he finally crashes into a dead-end alley where the walls suddenly feel too tall, too close, too alive, and with trembling hands he opens the box revealing a faded coin engraved with strange symbols before whispering one sentence that changes everything. "I wish I never found this thing." But the second those words leave his mouth, the shadows violently swallow him whole and the screen cuts to silence. The next morning feels almost painfully normal compared to what just happened, introducing us to Ethan, a broke college student trying to survive another exhausting week while balancing classes, part-time work, overdue rent, and a life that feels stuck in permanent disappointment. The kind of guy who laughs at his own failures before anyone else can, masking frustration with sarcasm while secretly wondering if life will ever give him a real chance. And as he walks through crowded hallways, filled with loud conversations and meaningless gossip, he notices how everyone around him seems to be moving forward while he remains trapped in place. Especially when he spots Olivia, the girl he's liked for years, smiling beside the arrogant rich athlete Marcus, whose expensive watch alone probably costs more than Ethan's entire apartment rent for 6 months. And even though Ethan pretends not to care, there's a quiet pain in his eyes that says otherwise. Later that night, Ethan works his miserable shift at an old antique shop owned by a strange elderly man named Mr. Vance, a quiet observer who always speaks like he knows more than he should. And during a slow evening, Ethan accidentally knocks over a dusty shelf, revealing a hidden compartment containing the exact same silver box from the opening scene. Except now it looks older, colder, almost waiting for someone to touch it. And when Ethan picks it up, a chill crawls through the room so suddenly that even the lights dim for a second. But before he can react, Mr. Vance appears behind him and snatches the box away with visible fear in his eyes, warning Ethan never to open it because some wishes cost more than people can imagine. Of course, that warning only makes Ethan more curious, and curiosity becomes obsession the moment he secretly steals the box before leaving work, convincing himself it's probably some old magic trick or antique myth, nothing more. Back in his cramped apartment, the city noise hums outside while Ethan studies the coin under his desk lamp, noticing tiny carvings moving almost like living ink whenever the light shifts. And despite every logical instinct telling him to stop, he jokingly whispers, "I wish tomorrow would finally go my way." At first nothing happens, and Ethan laughs at himself for falling into childish fantasy before going to sleep. But the next morning things immediately feel wrong in the best possible way, almost too perfect, because every tiny inconvenience suddenly disappears with impossible precision. His alarm fails, but he still catches the bus at the exact second it arrives. His professor postpones an exam he forgot to study for. A stranger accidentally drops a winning lottery scratch ticket near his feet, and Olivia unexpectedly sits beside him during lunch after Marcus humiliates himself during basketball practice, creating the kind of absurd chain of luck that feels less like coincidence and more like reality bending itself around Ethan's desires. For the first time in years, life feels exciting, and the dangerous part is how quickly he gets addicted to that feeling. Days pass and Ethan keeps experimenting with harmless wishes, asking for extra cash, easier classes, confidence, better luck, and every single wish comes true with terrifying accuracy. But there's always a strange side effect lurking behind the reward, subtle at first yet impossible to ignore, because after Ethan wishes for money, his coworker suddenly gets robbed at gunpoint and loses the exact same amount Ethan gains. After wishing for confidence, another student suffers a panic attack during a presentation, making Ethan look stronger by comparison. And after wishing Marcus would leave Olivia alone, Marcus ends up in a brutal car accident that puts him in the hospital. The pattern slowly becomes horrifyingly clear. The coin never creates happiness, it steals it from someone else. Ethan tries convincing himself it's coincidence, but deep down he knows better, especially when shadows start appearing around mirrors and windows every time he makes a wish, moving unnaturally fast whenever he looks away. Meanwhile, Olivia begins growing closer to Ethan, seeing a new confidence in him that never existed before, and their chemistry finally starts becoming real during late-night conversations across empty campus rooftops, where Ethan almost confesses the truth several times, but stops himself himself out of fear she'll think he's insane. Yet despite moments of genuine connection, there's still something deeply wrong eating at him because every improvement in his life leaves destruction somewhere else, and guilt starts poisoning the excitement he once felt. Things spiral further when Ethan discovers online reports about mysterious deaths connected to impossible strokes of luck happening across the city, victims whose final moments all involve whispers about the wishing shadow. And while researching, he uncovers a hidden forum discussing cursed objects tied to ancient rituals designed to trade human suffering for temporary miracles. One name appears repeatedly: the Collector, a supernatural entity said to grant wishes by feeding on emotional pain and despair, always attached to a silver coin passed from victim to victim like a disease. Before Ethan can process this information, his apartment lights suddenly shut off, plunging the room into darkness while distant scratching echoes from inside the walls, slow at first, then violently aggressive. And when he turns on his phone flashlight, he sees handprints spreading across the ceiling like something invisible is crawling directly above him. Panic crashes over him as the scratching grows louder until the walls themselves begin bleeding thick black liquid, and from the darkness a distorted voice whispers his name with unbearable intimacy, as though it's standing inches from his ear. Another wish, Ethan. He runs from the apartment barely breathing, sprinting into pouring rain before collapsing outside Mr. Vance's antique shop, only to find the old man already waiting for him, as if he expected this moment all along. Inside the shop, Mr. Vance finally reveals the truth, explaining that the coin is part of an ancient cursed ritual older than modern civilization, a deal originally created by desperate rulers seeking power during times of war, and every generation the curse evolves by targeting people consumed by dissatisfaction because those are the easiest souls to manipulate, and according to legend, the shadow attached to the coin feeds not on wishes themselves but on the emotional emptiness behind them, growing stronger every time someone believes happiness can be magically earned instead of painfully built. Ethan demands to know how to destroy it, but Mr. Vance's silence says everything before he finally admits no one has ever truly escaped once the wishes begin. The only known way to stop the curse is to refuse the final wish when the shadow offers it, because eventually every owner reaches a breaking point where the entity promises the one thing they desire most, but accepting it completely erases the person from existence while allowing the curse to move on searching for another victim. Ethan wants to throw the coin away immediately, but Mr. Vance warns him it always returns. The curse chooses its owner, and right on cue, Ethan checks his pocket only to discover the coin somehow back in his possession despite leaving it at home. Fear becomes paranoia after that. Ethan starts seeing the shadow everywhere, standing motionless at the edge of crowded streets, reflected behind him in elevator mirrors, appearing for split seconds during classroom windows before vanishing the instant he looks directly at it. And sleep becomes impossible because every night he hears whispering around his bed, growing clearer with each passing hour. Then the curse strikes where it hurts most. Olivia disappears. Her phone goes unanswered, her apartment is empty, and nobody seems concerned except Ethan because somehow everyone else remembers her acting distant for weeks despite spending every day around him recently, as though reality itself is rewriting memories around her existence. Desperate, Ethan uses the coin again, wishing to find her, instantly regretting it the second the room temperature drops and blood begins dripping from the ceiling onto his hands. A vision floods his mind, showing Olivia trapped inside an abandoned underground subway station beneath the city, surrounded by darkness while shadowy figures whisper around her. Ethan races there immediately, descending into forgotten tunnels soaked with water and decay where every distant sound echoes like screams, and the deeper he goes the more reality distorts around him. Train tracks twisting impossibly, lights flickering backward, old advertisements peeling themselves off walls as if time is collapsing. Finally, he finds Olivia unconscious beside an abandoned platform, but before he can reach her, the shadows gather together, forming a tall human silhouette with no face except two glowing white eyes floating inside endless darkness. The Collector has finally appeared. Its voice sounds layered with hundreds of whispers speaking simultaneously as it explains that Ethan was never chosen randomly, because people like him who spend their lives longing for more become easy gateways for the curse, and every wish he made strengthened the bridge between their worlds until now the entity can fully manifest. Ethan tries attacking it, but his fists pass through empty cold air, while the shadow calmly offers him one final wish, promising he can save Olivia completely if he simply asks. Ethan hesitates because he already knows the cost, but seeing Olivia barely breathing breaks his resolve, and for one dangerous second he almost gives in before suddenly remembering every tragedy caused by his previous wishes, every innocent person harmed so he could temporarily feel successful, loved, important. The realization destroys him emotionally because he understands the curse never preyed on greed alone. It preyed on insecurity, on loneliness, on the desperate belief that life owes us shortcuts. Refusing the wish, Ethan grabs Olivia and runs through the tunnels while the shadow violently tears apart the station behind them. Concrete exploding, lights bursting, black smoke flooding the air like living creatures chasing them through darkness. They barely escape onto the streets before the entire underground tunnel collapses beneath the city. For a brief moment, it feels over. Olivia wakes up confused but alive, and Ethan finally tells her everything, expecting disbelief, but after what she experienced underground, she knows something evil was real down there. Together they decide the only option left is destroying the coin permanently, leading them to an old church hidden outside the city, where records mention ancient cleansing rituals tied to cursed objects. But when they arrive, they discover the church abandoned, except for symbols carved into every wall matching the engravings on the coin. Inside waits Mr. Vance, except now he looks different, exhausted, broken, terrified beyond words. He admits he lied earlier because he wasn't merely studying the curse. He was once its owner. Decades ago, he made a wish to save his dying daughter, and although the curse granted it temporarily, she eventually vanished anyway, while he survived carrying unbearable guilt ever since. He reveals the horrifying final truth. The curse cannot be destroyed through rituals or fire because it survives through desire itself, and the only way to truly end it is for someone willingly connected to the coin to sacrifice every wish they ever wanted, completely accepting a life without magical escape, even if it means losing everything they gained. Ethan realizes what that means immediately. If he breaks the connection, all the wishes he made will reverse. His money, his confidence, Olivia's feelings toward him, everything influenced by the curse could disappear. Worse, some people harmed by the wishes may suffer even more during the correction. Olivia begs him not to do it, terrified of losing him emotionally even if he physically survives. But Ethan finally understands that chasing shortcuts has only destroyed lives around him, and for the first time in the entire story, he chooses responsibility over desire. He takes the coin and walks alone into the church basement where ancient candles flicker beside a massive black mirror covered in old symbols, the surface moving like liquid darkness while whispers crawl from every corner of the room. The collector emerges behind him larger than before, almost beautiful in a terrifying way, offering one final temptation by showing Ethan visions of the perfect future he always wanted: wealth, success, fame. Olivia smiling beside him in a beautiful house untouched by pain or struggle. The images feel painfully real, designed specifically to attack every weakness hidden inside him, and tears fill Ethan's eyes because part of him desperately wants that life. But then he remembers something simple yet powerful. Every meaningful moment he shared with Olivia happened before he used the wishes. The rooftop conversations, the awkward laughter, the honest vulnerability. Those moments mattered because they were real, not stolen, not manufactured by magic. Real. With shaking hands, Ethan crushes the coin against the mirror while screaming that he doesn't want shortcuts anymore, and instantly the basement erupts into chaos as shadows explode outward like living storms, the mirror cracking violently, while the collector lets out a deafening scream that sounds less angry and more wounded, almost heartbroken. Visions flash everywhere, showing previous victims across centuries disappearing into darkness while the church itself begins collapsing around him. Upstairs, Olivia hears Ethan screaming and rushes downward despite Mr. Vance trying to stop her, arriving just in time to see the shadow wrapping around Ethan's body, pulling him toward the shattered mirror. She grabs his hand, desperately refusing to let go while darkness consumes the room inch by inch, and in one final emotional moment, Ethan tells her he's finally okay with not being extraordinary because maybe ordinary life still has value. Maybe pain and struggle are what make happiness real in the first place. The collector shrieks one final time before the mirror completely shatters into black dust, unleashing a wave of blinding light that consumes everything. Silence follows. Days later, the city returns to normal. Reports connected to the mysterious deaths disappear. The antique shop burns down overnight with no explanation. Mr. Vance vanishes without a trace, and Ethan wakes up inside a hospital with almost no memory of the events except fragments that feel like nightmares fading after sunrise. His bank account is empty again. His life is still messy. His apartment still sucks, but something inside him has changed. He no longer feels trapped by the idea that happiness must arrive through miracles. In the final scene, Ethan walks across campus where he unexpectedly sees Olivia waiting for him beside the same rooftop staircase where they once talked late into the night. For a tense second, neither of them speak because there's uncertainty in the air, as though reality itself isn't sure what survived after the curse ended. But then Olivia softly smiles and asks if he wants coffee. Simple words carry carrying more emotional weight than any magical wish ever could. Ethan smiles back, relieved, human, finally free. And as they walk away together, the camera slowly pans downward toward a nearby storm drain where a faint metallic glimmer rests beneath flowing rainwater. Another silver coin waiting in the darkness for someone else desperate enough to make a wish.